Well, good day to everybody in ENTV. It's Paul Kellogg. Well, good day to everybody in ENTV. It's Paul Kellogg here. I'm so excited to get back into the flow of doing these interviews in ENTV. I've been on a travel schedule for a couple months now, visiting family everywhere. But I've talked to some of you as well around the world. So I know that life is continuing to happen out there. I'm so excited today to start off the week with Karen Seltz. She is calling in from Phoenix, Arizona. And she is a rapid resolution therapy specialist. And I am really excited actually to hear what that is because that's the first time that I've done an interview with somebody who specializes in that particular work. So, Karen, welcome to ENTV today.
Thanks, Paul. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, so let's dive right in. What is rapid resolution therapy specialist and what inspires you about doing that work?
Rapid resolution therapy, it's a way of resolving things that got stuck. So along our lives, things come in big. We get bumps and bruises, and sometimes we get knocked down. Sometimes things are highly traumatic. And when that happens, they get stuck in the subconscious mind. I say they come in big if they were shocking, traumatic, or difficult. And rapid resolution therapy is it's the most remarkable thing I've ever experienced. And I tell people anytime I do a session, I am blown away that it works so fast. I'm like, I cannot believe that somebody could come into me that's had 60 years of misery and thinking certain thoughts about themselves. And then they go out laughing and knowing that those events had, that there's nothing to do about them anymore. And they have no meaning about them or about the world, about life, about God. So it's just remarkable. And I don't want to monologue, but the reason I got
Yeah,
into
yeah.
it is because, well, I found it accidentally, but I was an addict. I was going to 12-step meetings. I was sober for 3 years when I found this. I was on 2 antidepressants and Adderall for ADD. And I did 4 hours of rapid resolution therapy. Went back to a 12-step meeting and said, "Hi, I'm Karen. Nope." I'm like, it was just gone from my identity. Like addict was gone. And I'm like, I outgrew it. It's like once my mind knew that traumatic things weren't happening anymore, there was no need for the addictive, in my case, behavior.
Right.
So it just was gone. I got off of both of my antidepressants and Adderall. And now I'm pretty happy. I would say 90% of the time or more for no reason.
Uh, yeah, that's beautiful. I'm curious as you were sharing about your own personal life, is what was the actual turning point in where here you were in this depression, this energy of what was happening? Did something happen where you suddenly just had that wake up call slap in the face that God, I don't want this, or oh, I can't do this anymore, or did you read a book, or what was the first step that began the searching outside of those experiences?
Do you mean for the depression or the addiction?
Okay. Well, I was thinking of generally, but if you want to divide it up, yeah, please do.
Well, my life definitely became unmanageable.
Okay.
Definitely to the point where I just couldn't go on anymore like that. I'm like, I just can't do it. And finally, I stopped trying to do it all myself and I dropped to my knees and I prayed. I'm like, God, help me. I can't do this anymore. I just can't. And I heard a voice say, get up, get up. Like I was on my bathroom floor. I looked at myself in the mirror and did not like what I saw. In fact, I hated what I saw. I hated the person I had become. And I was literally screaming at myself, like, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. How could you do this? How could you do this to yourself? And how could you do this to others? And that's when I dropped. And I just prayed for the first time in many years. Because when I was doing what I was doing, my addiction was sex. And I thought there's no way any God could love me and what I'm doing. And So I kind of like shut the door. I'm like, well, maybe if I don't look at God, he won't see me. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
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 So it was that moment. And I remember it vividly. And I got up and then a bunch of synchronicities happened. Like in my 12-step program, there were very few women. So it was hard for me to find a sponsor because men can't sponsor me. Um,
Right,
yeah.
right.
So I actually found a female sponsor, which is remarkable. I got a coach that helped me with addiction, and just all these things started happening. But it wasn't like until 3 years later that I found RRT.
Yeah. So there was really this seminal point where just whatever was inside the soul or innately or whatever, it just said, enough, I need some help, I need to change.
Exactly.
Do you find that in your clients sometimes where there's this turning point where maybe they suddenly realize how damaging it is to their children or whatever, you know what I mean? There's like this thing that happens of recognition and now I want help. Is that kind of where you see some of your clients?
Not mine, because I don't deal
Okay.
with people in active addiction, because what I do is so fast and so
Okay.
complete that if somebody were in active chemical addiction, it would be dangerous. They could die. Like if they suddenly stopped drinking alcohol and they were chemically, physically
Okay.
addicted to it, it'd be very dangerous. So I do deal with relapse prevention. So people that are chemically sober, they've gone through some type of detox. But mainly, like most of my clients have had big T and little t traumas, meaning, they were made fun of in school or bullied, or their parents, did certain things. Like all of us have stuff, right? One of my specialties is clearing multiple past events in one
Okay.
session.
Okay.
Last Saturday, I did a session and I broke a record, 40 events, 40,
Wow.
one session.
Is that kind of the so I was going to ask you to break it down a little bit
Yeah.
for the intellectual like me that what is the rapid part? Talk about rapid for just a minute, because
Yeah.
your name is so unique and beautiful. What's the rapid part? When people come to you, what's the rapid part?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if you go to talk therapy, your
Okay.
therapist will say, all right, we'll see you next week. Number one, I've been to tons of therapists. Not one of them ever shared with me an intention they had for me during the session or during the course of treatment. They never said, you'll be done at this time. It was always like, we'll see you next week. We'll see you next
Yeah,
week.
yeah, yeah,
And I never left feeling much better for very long, if at all. So what I do, and I tell people, this is not talk therapy. You will not be telling me about anything you've ever experienced. You will not relive it. That's not useful. All it does is reinforce those patterns, those connections you don't want. They're not useful to you. Your mind thinks they're happening. Anytime you recall an event that was traumatic, your subconscious mind thinks it's happening right now. So it
yeah.
sends those fight, flight, freeze chemicals. So rapid. Imagine coming in. I'll give you an example. I had a woman come to me. She couldn't stop crying. She couldn't get through a single sentence. Why? The only purpose of a disturbing emotion, thought, sensation, impulse, or habit is your subconscious mind wants you to take an action right now. Now, when
Yeah.
you're thinking about something that happened 20 years ago, what action can you take 20 years ago right now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nothing. So there's no purpose to that. Yet, if we were on a scavenger hunt and we were looking for someone where that wasn't going on, good luck to us. I mean, it's going on for everybody, pretty much.
Yeah.
So rapid. In after that one session, I would say midway to 2/3 of the way through, this woman was laughing. Her mind got that. I use this analogy because I find it useful. So imagine there's this soldier and he got separated from his platoon and he's crawling through the mud and there's bugs and snakes. It's hot and
Yeah.
humid and he's so uncomfortable. Why is he doing it? Because he's
Yeah.
afraid if he stands up, he's going to get shot and killed. But what he doesn't realize is that the war ended 2 weeks ago and his side already won. So it's the same for our minds. Like the mind hasn't gotten the good news yet that you've survived absolutely everything you've ever been through. And that is the subconscious mind's primary objective, is to keep you alive. And it's just not that smart. It's not as smart as you are. I always say it's about as smart as a 4-year-old or a goat.
Right.
It just doesn't know better. It thinks it's happening, so it's keeping you alive. So rapid is in 1 to 3 sessions, people are done. Like they have cleared their entire past most of the time. And depending on what they're coming for, I also put good things in there. So if they want to show up on camera because they're entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
I get rid of all those events that made them self-conscious or made them think they weren't enough. I've done stuff with abundance, like removing the blocks to worthiness or receiving.
Yeah.
So then we can put stuff in there. Like, what do you want? How does an entrepreneur show up? How does a CEO show up? And then we add new wiring in there. But first, we must create like a blank space for it to kind of click in.
Absolutely. So that's where the resolution part comes in. Now you're resolving what you're going to do with the energy, what you're going to do that's new, and so on. Correct?
Yeah. So that's why I tell people, depending on what they're coming for, 1 to 3 sessions is, unless they're coming for coaching, and that's something different.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah.
RRT, I mean, there's not much more to do with the way I do it.
Yeah.
Because imagine clearing like 20 events in one session. There's, some other things might come up later, but imagine this. When you have these events that are running, I always do this, right? They're like running in the background. And you may not even be thinking about them, but if somebody brings something up and it reminds you of one of these things and you feel disappointed, angry, sad, frustrated, you have a thought like that shouldn't have happened or whatever, it's still running in the background and it's sucking energy from you. Sure. So it's like, remember the old computers, if you had a lot of programs running, they would get really slow and you get the spinning wheel of death. And that's how our minds are. So you don't have that much energy available to heal the body, to grow a baby, to think creatively, to think strategically, for compassion, humor, sex drive. Like all that stuff goes out the window when you're thinking there's a lion chasing you.
Yeah. So amazing stuff. So imagine that I have been your client. I've gone through things. I'm done. A year later, maybe I have 4 deaths in my family, and they're all tough. What is it that I have experienced with you that I can then rapid resolve? I can, how can I make it my own technique to, you see what I'm saying? How can I follow it up on my own?
I get what you're saying. In the case of deaths, good luck.
Or anything. It could be anything. I just use that example.
Well, here's the thing, like Dr. John Connolly is the inventor of this. And he's like, people come to me all the time and say, how do I keep it? And he's like, when I figure it out, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Things are still going to come up. I'll give you an example. I had one woman who did 2 sessions with me. 6 months later, her uncle died. And her family members were very upset with her because she's like, well, I'm glad he died. And she didn't realize until that moment that all these memories came back from the time she was 5 until she was 10. Every summer they stayed with him and he raped her. She didn't remember that. So things come up. And in the case of grief, when somebody physically passes on, it's normal to feel grief, right? Yeah. In my world, we say it's dysfunctional because it's the mind trying to cause an action to get that person to not die, so that you have a connection in the exact same way. Right. So what we do in grief is we restore the connection to the person, to their soul, to their energy, which never dies. And the mind is at ease. It doesn't feel any of those disturbing emotions. So you can't, I mean, the ones you resolve, they're resolved, but other stuff will come up because you're a human. I tell people the only thing wrong with your mind is you got a human one.
It's a computer. It's going to do what it's programmed to do, right? So it sounds to me like that there is an energy there that if I've experienced this positive energy with RRT, that and I feel that, right? And I know that there is some resolution and so on, that at a minimum I can maybe overlay those positive feelings onto the energy of what it might be that has caused a little discomfort, a year from now. You've taught me how to be positive with myself a little bit.
It's not, see, when you're being positive, that's coming from the conscious mind. So you can will something for only a short period of time because it's exhausting. These programs that are in the subconscious mind will always win. So there are things like I give people audio recordings with they're like personalized meditations from their session. Now, if you were to listen to those every day, you would have connections in there that were so solid that it would be hard to shake you from your core. But do you think people do that? No. I don't know anybody who's listened to them more than a couple of times, even though they have them. So it's willpower, and willpower comes from here. Positive thinking is, in my opinion, it's complete BS, because this part of the mind's like, yeah, but it's looking for what's wrong in order to protect you. And
so what about things like meditation and things like that? Where people, that relaxes me, it brings me inner peace, it helps sustain. I think what I'm trying to say is, how do they sustain it without having to come back to you the next time? How do they sustain it? Because that's what I hear you saying, is that it takes 3 sessions, they're done, but now life is continuing to happen for me. But what's the value that I can bring forward?
Right.
Because I've experienced it.
Yeah. So imagine there's another soldier, and he comes back from the war, and he's been in combat, and these kids light firecrackers outside of his living room window, and he dives under the coffee table. Right. So his mind is looking for similarities. Oh, yes, that sounded like a bomb. Not exactly, but enough. Right. So once that's gone, he's not going to react to the firecrackers anymore. If you have fewer events open when your mind is scanning the environment looking for threats, it's not going to find similarities because these things are already stored. They're like in a file cabinet in the basement. So people that get triggered a lot, they don't get triggered so much. And when they do, at first they might, and then they recognize, oh, there's nothing happening right now. What is my mind wanting me to do? What action does it want me to take? Oh, it wants me to not get bullied in 3rd grade. Anything I can do about that? Nope. So there is like a little bit of a logical process, but here's the issue. The subconscious mind does not understand logic or reason. Not at all. It doesn't understand concepts. So you hear people talk about affirmations. The subconscious mind has no idea what most of those are. Like, tell a 4-year-old, hey, be abundant. It's, they're going to go be free. Good luck, right? You tell them to touch their nose, they can do that. So that's why my affirmations are, touch my nose. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Well, I think that what I hear you saying is that as people release and resolve and let go, and whatever the intellectual statements of that are, smiling at myself in the mirror is a good thing. What it's that energy of that I heard a good very well known public speaker said, be kind to your future self. It's a feeling, it's an energy, it has nothing to do with what's up here. It's a feeling, it's an action of, here's what I do with my life. That's what I hear you saying, is that people, when they have that resolution, they begin to live life in this new wine in new wineskins, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing, well, there's so many things that become available to you once this stuff is gone.
Yeah.
You're not in survival. Then you can sit and meditate. But if you think there's a lion, and here's why I say that, because the subconscious mind is very primitive. It doesn't know the difference between somebody rejecting you online, like a stranger rejecting you, and the lion chasing you. It sends the same amount of chemicals regardless.
Yeah.
So what's not available? Calm, peace, regenerating the body,
Yeah.
humor. Think about it. Like being compassionate. If you think you're being chased by a lion and you pass a homeless person, are you going to stop? No, of course not.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you think you're overweight and you think there's a lion chasing you, you're not going to be kind to yourself. You're just not.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
the other big
Hey,
thing that I want to say is the meanings that the mind creates about things. A lot of them happen when we're very, very young, like below the age of 7, and we don't even
that's right.
have a conscious mind at that point. So we believe, whatever our mind brings in is unfiltered essentially, because our brain waves are very slow. So it's like being in a state of hypnosis. So we accept, believe, and surrender to whatever it is as if it's fact. And then our little beautiful minds make up meaning. Well, that means that authority figures aren't safe, or I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, I'm ugly, I'm fat, whatever it is.
Right.
Life's not fair, God doesn't love me. All those things. And no matter what happens after that. So I'll just show you my model. We call that red sand, the 0 to 7.
Yep.
It
Yep.
doesn't
Yep.
matter what happens after that, how much, even if it says this is complete and utter BS, we're still filtering through this lens.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Beautiful. Beautiful. Karen, as we wrap up here, how can people reach out and connect with you and find out more?
Yes, I'm in all the places. I'm everywhere. So if you want to see some of my videos, the best place is YouTube. And it's just under my name, Karen Seltz. My website is karenseltz.com. And on there, you can book a complimentary call to see if this is a good thing for you. And I would make a recommendation depending on what you're going through, how many sessions that I recommend.
Sure. Sure. Well, wonderful. And make sure you put those in the comments underneath the video. ENTV, Karen Seltz calling in from Phoenix, Arizona. Some amazing insights and inspiration there. So please reach out to her and connect. Karen, stick around for just a minute. We'll do our takeaways after. There you go, ENTV. Got some more stuff coming up later this week. So please stay tuned. Lots of stuff happening out there. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are in the world. Take
Thank you
care.
all. Bye.